Hey friends, Dr. Heather here. Thank you for joining me here at Ask Dr. Heather. If you are brand new, welcome to my Facebook page. This is a page where people send and ask me questions about different health topics, maybe myths they don't understand, or maybe just want to share what some of my favorite recipes are or some of my favorite health hacks are. But today, I've probably gotten literally I only want to know hundreds of questions about keto, because 3 years ago when we were talking about keto, even though we've studied keto for almost 100 years, it took a long time to explain what keto was. People knew that that keto could be a negative word. It could be a word that describes a abnormal health condition, and now people are getting to understand more about keto. So let's just talk about what the word keto means. I don't want to rant, I just want to have a chat. So keto stands short for the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet is when your body makes or goes through a process called ketogenesis. That's when your liver goes out and grabs your fat, which is really stored food, uncouples it, and makes 3 different ketone bodies: beta-hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate, and acetone, 3 ketone bodies, and your body can use it for energy in many different ways. So we know our body has 2 fuel sources. We have glucose, which comes from carbohydrates and proteins. When we eat those types of foods, our body breaks it down via insulin, and we get an energy source called glucose. Or we can eat a diet that's low in carbohydrates. There's no essential carbohydrates, FYI, but we do need a little bit of carbohydrates. But anyway, a ketogenic diet is about 70 to 80% fat, very low in carbohydrates, and our body actually uses fat for fuel. So 3 years ago, I'm going to say 4 years ago, actually let me go back further. I'm going to jump way back 20 plus years ago. I'm going to do a little sidebar and come back around, so stay with me, guys. After we opened up our doors, I was on a podcast and somebody said, if you could pick one nutrient, what would you give someone? And it was actually vitamin D. 20 years ago, we were talking about vitamin D for health conditions, heart conditions, cancer. It's the #1 predictor of heart disease, helping sleep, helping skin, helping moods. 20 years ago, we had to talk and talk to get people to understand that we didn't have the internet, we didn't have Google, there was no Pinterest, we didn't have access to a lot of those things. So it was all presenting clinical documentation through peer-reviewed articles. And now everybody totally understands about vitamin D. We know how important it is for heart health, how important it is for brain health, skin health, all those types of things. So as we talk about keto, I'm going to take a little second rant here, because there are a lot of people saying, why would you take an exogenous ketone? Or why would you even want to be on a ketogenic diet? So I don't have notes written out because my brain's in all these different places because of all the questions, but I do want to make sure you understand when someone's saying keto, it refers to the ketogenic diet, which actually when our body makes a ketone body. If you're buying a food that says it's a keto food, it might mean one of 3 things. It could either mean that it could fit into the ketogenic pyramid of food, which is 70 to 80% fat, moderate protein, and low carbohydrate. Or it could mean that it does contain one of the ketone bodies. But people get really confused that when they say a keto bar, a keto snack, a keto this, that it actually contains one of the ketone bodies, or it is actually a substitution. Generally what I see when there's these prepackaged foods, they often have a lot of preservatives in there. So I'm not going to bash any company, because there are a lot of amazing companies who are making this transition from a sugar burner to a fat burner a lot easier. So I do want to give a big shout out to many of those companies. But people come in and they're coming to my office and they're buying all these keto things, like, gosh, I just want to say Slim Fast, but I didn't say it. But there's rows of things, I wish I was at the grocery store, that have keto all over everything. When you start to look at the macros, they're doing all this special math about minusing this and minusing that and fiber and sugar, alcohol, and then it has all these preservatives in it, which your body probably can't break down anyway because of all the preservatives. So we'll be very careful when you hear the word keto, because it can be misconstrued, it can be mislabeled. And I think I just saw Allison jump on here. I love Allison's video that she did. I think she was actually in the store saying people are putting keto all over everything and it's making everybody super confused. So that is one of my first little chats I want to have, that be aware that the ketogenic diet is not prepackaged foods. It is healthy vegetables. It's having 5, 6, 7 cups of vegetables, which is less than 20 grams of carbohydrates. If you're eating the low glycemic vegetables, it's eating healthy fats. It's not all about bacon. It is pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, olive oil, avocados, flax, hemp. It's all those healthy plant fats, as well as a lot of healthy fishes, salmon, trout, sardines, mackerels, all those nuts and seeds. It's not about prepackaged stuff. Yes, some of that stuff does make life easier if you're traveling, but the ketogenic diet is whole foods. It's green foods, buying organically, local, what's in season. That is a true ketogenic diet. So people go keto, it's not about buying a whole bunch of prepackaged snack foods. It's about actually eating whole healthy foods, like a chicken and broccoli with some butter on it, or a steak steak with some green beans with some sesame seeds and some bacon bits on it, something like that. So that's the first thing I just want to clarify, because again, hundreds of questions of people totally getting confused. The second thing I want to do is that and I'm probably going to get messages on this, there are ketogenic influencers or low carb influencers, and then there are researchers, and then there's practitioners. So I am not a researcher. I am not an influencer. I want to say that I am a clinician that educates people on the difference between a ketogenic diet, a low carb diet, a standard American diet. We even hear South Beach now saying the word keto. We have a lot of people saying keto with their other diets, but just want to make sure you guys know that I'm not a researcher. I'm not in the lab. I'm not studying rats, but I do read the clinical data. I think I'm pretty current on what's happening. Again, it's happening so fast around the world, which is so exciting to me that the information is just overboiling on the amazing benefits. If you Google ketogenic and benefits, you're going to see pages. Again, look at the peer-reviewed articles, not just somebody trying to sell something, and look at what the information says about it reducing inflammation for heart disease, for eczema, for irritable bowel, for brain cognition. Being our native fuel is absolutely the right thing. So I'm not reading questions right now, Jennifer. I'll come back to that. So the first one was about beware of buying prepackaged ketogenic product foods like snacks and cookies and pies and cakes and that kind of stuff. And then people saying it's keto when really they're just talking about the macronutrients may fit. But we each know that Robbie's macros, I'm just reading the name that pops up, or Aaron's macros are totally different than mine. We're different ages, different genders. Some of us are boys and girls, sorry. But we have different past health histories. We have different current our activities of daily living are different than anybody else. No two of us are the same. Our genetic makeup is different. So all that being said, that's when it comes into that specific individual state, like what works for somebody might not work for somebody else. So when they have these keto packaged foods, that they do have the macros right, but it may not be right for you. So just be careful buying those prepackaged stuff. And then beware of people who are keto influencers. And there's some amazing people out there. There's also some people who maybe need to do a little more research. I generally don't go this way. I'm being nervous, as you can tell. But what I want to say is that I was listening to someone that says, I do not think we should do exogenous ketones. We have enough stored fat in our body. There's no reason to take exogenous ketones. But on the same hand, they're saying, well, supplement with potassium, because on a ketogenic diet, you can lose potassium. Avocados have 500 milligrams of potassium. It's on the ketogenic diet. So do healthy fats and some other nuts and things like that. So when they're saying that it's okay to use exogenous potassium on a ketogenic diet, but don't use exogenous ketones on a ketogenic diet, I think it's a little bit of an oxymoron. The same thing for magnesium. I mean, if you're eating nuts and you're eating sardines, which I won't eat sardines, but you're deficient magnesium after going on a ketogenic diet, they're the same people saying, hey, go ahead and substitute with that. But I'm going to come back around because I'm just going to say I use Prove It's ketones. I am an independent promoter for them. I am very proud to use them and support them because the people who are behind Prove It and their ketones are years and years and years of research. Dr. Dominic D'Agostino, which is one of the front thinkers of ketogenic exogenous ketones, beta hydroxybutyrate with MCT. He's been with the Office of Navy Research. Look him up. Also look up I say Dr. Mary Newport. She's again just one of the smartest people that I know. She's been leading this conversation for years. Dr. Ken Ford, who's a retired Nobel Peace Prize winner from NASA, they're supporting using a pure exogenous ketones. Dr. Fenney and Dr. Volek have studies from years ago in their book, not just last week, not just last year, not just 3 years ago, but I'm talking 5, 10, 12 years ago when this low carb conversation came out and people were saying, don't do that, it can make you sick. And that's when people went from the standard American diet to Sears diet or the Zone diet to paleo, then gluten-free, kind of dairy-free, then they went low carb, then keto. So that's kind of how that's come evolved. The great news is what we know is what we were doing the last 3 or 4 or 5 decades definitely wasn't working. That's why we see a rise in all disease processes. So moving forward, yes, I do support a low carb, high fat, clean ketogenic diet. It doesn't have to be perfect. So when people say I'm doing dirty keto, I'm doing clean keto, my thing is keeping out the sugar is always a big win for me. So I want to just kind of give my position there because I am getting hundreds of questions on that. And thank you for the hearts and the thumbs up. And I want you to be honest. This is a place where you can ask questions. And I want to make sure that you're understanding that I'm not bashing anyone because I think it's an amazing platform to have social media. I'm reaching more people now and meeting more people than I ever could just one-on-one in my office. So I love that. With that being said, I am doing some 10-day, 20-day, 7-week ketogenic low carb challenges because not everyone needs to be on a ketogenic diet. If you don't have a metabolic condition where your doctor has said, yes, you need to be on a ketogenic diet. But where it does come into play and where exogenous ketones come into play is that we all know, it's on every single magazine, every single diet book you pick up, sugar is highly addictive. We've seen it on brain scans. That's why people yo-yo diet. They can't stop craving the sugar. One little bit causes a cycle because it's a huge hormonal effect. We have a little bit of sugar, and sugar lasts about 30 minutes. Our dopamine goes up. We feel really good, and then it drops. Our energy level drops, and then our epinephrine, norepinephrine says, oh, I need another one. We go back to the pantry. We open up the pantry door. We take another cracker, another cookie, another sip of wine, another sip of sweet tea, another Tic Tac, another piece of candy every 30 minutes. The average person eats 17 times a day. Eating is defined by consuming calories. So if you have a Tic Tac, a mint, a piece of gum, a handful of nuts, an M&M or two, that's still consuming calories. That's considered eating. The average person's eating 17 times a day. In 2001, the average person ate 3 times a day. Then we put this pyramid in and we started making packaged food. So we know now what we're doing is not working. So that's where the intermittent fasting key comes into play. So, and that's my last topic. So I think I've covered about being true. When we talk about the word keto, people say, I'm keto, but are you actually in ketosis? Are you actually checking your blood, your urine, your breath? Are you actually in ketosis? Or are you just eating a lot of prepackaged ketogenic food? And you can be in 2 states of ketosis. You can be in a nutritional state of ketosis, which is when you're on a true ketogenic diet. And then you can be, back those up, or you can be in a state of nutritional ketosis where you're drinking exogenous ketones. It's putting your body in clinically a state of ketosis where you have an elevated level of blood ketones. So yes, ketones, exogenous ketones can put your body, can you check all? Okay, definitely, Teresa. Sorry, I was going to tell myself I was going to actually not answer questions and get to this and then come back to questions. So when we talk about ketogenesis, that's when your liver's grabbing the fat, unbuckling it, and making it ketones. When you're drinking exogenous ketones, it still saturates your bodies with ketones, beta-hydroxybutyrate. So when you go to test your ketones, whether it's with a pinprick or whether it's with an oral meter, just like they use with a breathalyzer for police officers, they have 2 different ketone meters, or if you're checking your urine, if it measures positive for ketones, then yes, your body's spilling ketones, dumping, using ketones. It means your body's in a state of ketosis because by definition, ketosis is an elevated level of blood ketones, which you can get through exogenous ketones and through a ketogenic diet. So just wanted to verify that. And so when people say, I don't know why as a physician or just a mom of 4, you would drink exogenous ketones, my own personal experience was when I had an accident in 2014, I was told I was not going to be able to run or kickbox for about 9 months. I was in really good shape, my late 40s, and I wanted to preserve my lean muscle mass. So I went on a ketogenic diet. Not being weight bearing and not being able to run for 9 months means I couldn't earn my carbs like I could before. So that was the best thing that I knew to do because I taught that in my clinic. But I had a hard time staying in ketosis. I would be upset that I wasn't able to work out. We know how beneficial exercise is for the brain and how good it is for you. Also know that my sleep was off. I was having pain, a lot of other things that were around my accident, several surgeries around my accident, which was not letting my body stay in a state of natural ketosis. So then in 2015, when Prove It launched the first pure therapeutic exogenous ketones, I added that to my already ketogenic diet. What it did is it raised my level of ketones. It gave my body a break. It was working way too hard, several surgeries, anesthesia, stress, all that stuff can actually keep your body out of a state of ketosis. So that actually elevated my level. So instead of being in ketosis, natural ketosis, and being tired and not feeling well, I actually went to having a better state of energy, having more metabolic flexibility, not just being so obsessed over my numbers, like my numbers are right. Why am I not in ketosis? I did this. Why is it not getting higher? Is there some hidden food allergy? Am I not sleeping right? Who have I not forgiven? Who am I mad at today? All those things can affect it. So that was an amazing gift to me to actually put those in my body. I'd follow those leading researchers we talked about earlier, which allowed me to say, yes, I'm going to put this in my body. Yes, I'm going to share it with my family, my friends, and people at my clinic. And then we talk about exogenous ketones because there again are a lot of people saying that support the ketogenic diet but do not support exogenous ketones, and not all are created the same. I want to make sure that you hear me loud and clear on that. So as an independent promoter, I do promote one brand of exogenous ketones because they are the pure therapeutic all natural ketones, which is what our body bioidentically makes. So it saturates it and uses it very efficiently. So I like to ask those people out there, whether you're an influencer or a clinician and you're saying, I want you to use a ketogenic diet, but don't use any type of supplementation. But if that person's a type 2 diabetic and they're trying to use a ketogenic diet, but they're still allowing them to use exogenous insulin, or maybe they're going to have them use exogenous B vitamins because maybe their folate is low because of some other health condition, or they're going to say, you know, you're osteoporotic, you need to use calcium, you can use exogenous calcium, or maybe your doctor say go on a ketogenic diet, but you are anemic, so go ahead and use exogenous iron. We all know our body can make iron. So I just want to just let everybody know where I stand. I'm not saying everyone has to be in the same place, because I think it's great that we all have different opinions and we have different experiences, but treating thousands of people over several years and having my own personal experience, I know what has worked for me and for several other people. So I don't generally say the word rant at all. I want to call it a chat, and I do encourage everybody on here to express their opinions. Again, I get hundreds of questions all the time. Can you please clarify what keto means? I'm so confused. My neighbors, I'm so confused. Who is it right for? Who is it wrong for? You know, the diet that's right for you is the one that works for you and gets you to your best health condition. So maybe that's just low carb for you. Maybe that's gluten-free for you. Maybe it is doing, you know, intermittent fasting on a different hour basis than myself. So I do give always full permission to share and make sure that you know where you can find my blog. So if you are just getting ready to get started on a ketogenic diet, I'm going to review those benefits now. So I know I'm a little bit windy today, but I also have a blog, which is AskDrHeather.net. You can download for free your guide to kickstart your day in the right way. It's my favorite ketogenic breakfasts, 3 or 4 options there, super simple, less than a few ingredients, which is generally less than 5. And then there's my favorite food list, which is an autoimmune friendly food list. You will not find soy on there. You will not find dairy on there, except for grass-fed butter, because in our clinic, we see people who have a lot of inflammation or digestive issues, and we know that dairy is one of the leading causes of it. A lot of people can't digest dairy or gluten, and those grains actually are not on a ketogenic diet. So reviewing the benefits of ketogenic diet, not just for fat loss, but so many other things. We know that our New Year's resolutions, I think 97% of people's New Year's resolution is fat loss, but I am going to challenge you this before I just cover a few benefits. And I always go fast and I'll roll back and get some questions, but I do want to thank everybody for coming on. Let me know where you're coming from. I see lots of people watching, but chat where you're coming from. I always like to know where you are. But I saw this stat that was posted last week that said 42% of the people that write down their New Year's goals actually achieve them. 78% of people who actually share their goal, so with an accountability partner, maybe with their physician, maybe a friend who actually write it down and share it, actually tell and achieve those goals 78% of the time. So 0%, you write no goals, you get nowhere. And then 42% of people who actually write them down, achieve them, and then take it to the next level. Sharing is caring, connection is a cure. We say that all the time here at Ask Dr. Heather, that if you share it with someone, you're more likely to achieve those goals 78% of the time. So I know as people roll into the new year, we do write goals, and people are like, I don't believe in health goals. Do you watch football? Do you watch basketball? I have 4 boys. Goals are about winning, right? It's about whether maybe not even sports. Let's take sports out of that. Let's take maybe you're a salesman and you have a certain goal level for cars, or insurance salesman. Every grocery store has goals to meet. I worked in a pharmacy growing up. We had goals to meet in every department. So I think that's pretty normal for people to have goals. Otherwise, you have no idea where you're going, right? The same thing. Attorneys have certain number of hours to bill. We know that doctors have a certain percentage of people they want to help get better. So my thing is, I think goals are a great thing. Whatever word you choose, I think is fine. Whichever feels good to you, I say, would use. Whether goal is not a word that feels good, but you do need to have some type of a map to know where you're going from. So when you start to look up and Google ketones and the benefits of ketones being used in your body of a fuel source, you're going to see amazing things. You're going to see increased focus. You're going to see increase in neurosignaling. Our brain is our most important organ, correct? It actually prefers ketone fuels. That is out there all over the internet from leading physicians and researchers, not from influencers, but what the researchers are telling us is that our body actually prefers that. Whether we've had a broken brain, a concussion, traumatic brain injury, we've had, maybe you fell down the stairs when you were 10 months old as a baby, maybe you had a bike wreck in 2nd grade, maybe you have boinked your head, maybe you played soccer or a gymnast. We know that all those little bruises or contusions to your brain can actually inhibit the uptake of glucose, but we know that that brain still very efficiently craves and uptakes ketones. That's another amazing reason, besides fat loss, is all the neuroprotectiveness and the cognition. Provides more oxygen to your brain. I'm here in Kansas, so I think I'm right at sea level, but if I go to Colorado, or I go to where it's 10,000, 14,000 feet when I would go skiing, definitely shorter breath, definitely a little bit of brain fog. Some people live with that all day. Just think if you could add 38% more oxygen to your brain by using an amazing efficient fuel source called ketones. So Yes, also improving sleep, improving health. I'll put a whole list down there. Also helps with metabolic diseases because ketones increase our metabolic rate. They decrease cravings. They help balance out our blood sugar. So really excited to share that with you. If you do want more information of how to use Provix exogenous ketones, please just direct message me, contact me. Happy to share that information with you. But I do want to let you know that 2 times a month we do a 10-day keto kickstart in a private group, and what that entails, because I've gotten a whole bunch of people asking me. I'm just going to go to my blog, which is askdrheather.net. I'm generally not this, I'm generally staying really focused on a topic, but what we do include in there is in our 10-day keto kickstart, we're doing a 20-day this month, and we're going to roll that into a 7 weeks to better, is that we give you individual coaching from different coaches, neurologists, MDs, DCs, naturopaths every single day, not once a day, but twice a day. We give you food lists, grocery lists that are autoimmune friendly. We address very important things like sleep hygiene. We address very important things like gratitude and attitude, how important that is for your health, and then how important movement is. We start with detox questionnaires. What do you really feel like? Like oftentimes people are like, I feel okay. And then you're like, well, actually I'm not sleeping well. Actually, I don't go to the bathroom every day. Actually, I feel like I have to go to the bathroom all the time, or I don't completely empty. Well, I've got this ringing in my ear. I've got this itching on my toe. I have big toe-itis. So when you start to ask those detox questionnaire, like, oh my gosh, I do kind of have a cough or clear my throat all the time. My ears kind of itch. I have a white tongue. What's that about? So we do address those issues. We talk about those symptoms and what could be related to those. And then we do give you a daily challenge. Every day we want you to check in. It's not mandatory, but we know 90% of life is showing up. So on our daily groups, when we have you check in, it is so important to do that. So you can find more about the information on my blog. And then we do actually throw in a 30-day complimentary brain tap session. So brain tap is an auditory session that you listen to that gives very positive encouragement. It helps with food addiction, food control, sleep issues, motivation, health and wellness. We know that oftentimes we live in a world, a house or a place that we work that are actually sometimes sabotaging or degrading or not supportive, where we want to give you 100% support, 100% security, where you can share your struggles and frustrations. We do kick that off usually we kick it off or end it with a 60-hour called Keto Reboot, which is starting this Monday. And then as we roll out of the reboot, we'll be starting our 10/20, because some people have done our 10-day before and like, I just need to do this again because that was so great for me to see those little results just happening, because we know inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. So we don't have you try to be straight keto in the next 3 hours. What we do is we actually teach you how to do that, identify when you're hungry, identify what your food needs are, your nutritional needs are, and then also take into account when you actually do need to go see your healthcare practitioner. Like, I need to actually see a doctor about this. And again, we cannot treat, diagnose, give medical advice. We're here to share nutritional advice, give you meal plans that actually do work for you, that are autoimmune friendly, that give you a variety, because oftentimes people are not varying their foods, eat the same thing all the time, and that will actually cause a stall or plateau. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Hopefully I didn't chat too long, but know that you absolutely can share this if you want to. If you want more information about my 10-day Keto Kickstart program, you can either go to my blog and download your guide to kickstart your day in the right way. I said it a little bit slower there, or just send me a private message. You want to know more about that, or jump over to askdrheather.net for more information. I am so excited. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, I would say the word keto and everyone would think ketoacidosis. Ketoacidosis is an unstable condition, very rare, that happens in a type 1 diabetic, very rare. I was talking with Dr. Naisha Winters, who wrote The Metabolic Approach to Cancer. She said in her practice, which she does teach and encourage the ketogenic diet for her patients when medically necessary and medically guided, she has never had a patient with ketoacidosis. I have heard of 2 instances, and I've been practicing over 20 years. One, the pump went out on an insulin pump. Number 2, the needle got bent on an insulin pump. So those are generally indications. But what we do know is that our body knows how to run on ketones. We're born into a state of ketosis. We know elite runners are in ketosis all the time because it's a higher performance level. We know some of the top Google, hey Darius, thanks for joining me again. Some of the top Google words out there are fasting and fitness, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we really focus on food. We know 80% of our overall health is dictated by our food. When we are eating, we are either feeding a disease or we are fighting a disease. So think about that for a second. When we are eating, every single time we eat, we're either feeding a disease or fighting a disease. So we really take that 10 to 20 days and really really hone in on what we need to do. I am going to do a Zoom tomorrow. I'll be in Spring Hill, Kansas tomorrow morning. If you want to know that location, give me a shout out. I'll let you know at 10 o'clock. We also will be doing a 2 p.m. Keto 101 workshop via Zoom. Send me a message if you want to be included in that Zoom. It is limited to 100 people. It generally fills up. And then Monday night, Dr. Jamie Folk is having 2 sessions. She had over 100 people indicate they want to join her Keto 101 workshop. That is Monday night in Paola, Kansas, 6:15, second session at 7 p.m. I may be doing another one in our office on Tuesday night. So if I'll put a poll down. If there's enough people in Kansas City that want me to do a face-to-face Keto 1 workshop, slide presentation, food, meal plan, that kind of thing, let me know and we'll do that Tuesday. In our office here in Overland Park, Kansas, Carden Center for Wellness. Just send me a message here. And now I'm actually going to go back and answer a few questions. Oftentimes I kind of end it there. That way I can save where we are, but I do want to answer a couple questions here. So yes, if you are a diabetic, definitely check with your healthcare provider. So Jenny's saying very, very rare. Jenny, I'm so sorry for your loss. I know there's no words to say what that can happen, but what I do know is that diabetes is one of the most painful disease, because you think of a diabetic, what happens? They lose their toes, they lose their feet, they can go blind, lots of neuropathy, lots of pain. I had a sister pass away of a heart attack, my aunt passed away of a heart attack, my grandpa did. No pre-existing conditions, no elevated cholesterol. They were not on a high sodium diet, simply had a pulmonary embolism. So when we talk about heart disease, oftentimes that's not painful, where diabetes is long and painful. But the great news is we know now, 20 years ago, we thought, well, diabetes, you just keep adding medication until someone does pass away. Now we know there's possibilities of reversing diabetes. There are people doing it all the time. Dr. Westman made it very clear, because I wanted to make sure what the verbiage was, that if your A1C is normal after 1 year, you're actually in remission as a type 2 diabetic. Now, type 1 is an autoimmune disease. You do not go in remission. You have diabetes your whole entire life. So 1 year with a normal A1C under 5.7, you are in remission. 5 years with a normal A1C under 5.9 or 5.7, you are absence of type 2 diabetes. My mother-in-law's A1C 2.5 years ago was, I think, about 10. It is now 5, and she is not medicated. My mother-in-law, let me tell it, my mom also, who's getting ready to walk in the door, she had an elevated A1C in the 7, 8s, and 9. She's had a quadruple bypass, had some skin cancer. Her A1C is now normal, eating a low-carb, high-fat diet. She does not check her ketone. She does eat clean. She does eat green. She eats lots of green. She eats cleaner meats, not doing any type of soda, really cut that stuff out. And now her A1C is normal. Her doctor took her from several meds down to 1. She is over 29, so you just want to keep her on that 1. So I'm going to let you know that she does coordinate that with her own individual healthcare provider. I don't do that as her daughter, but I want to give them a shout out. The Zoom will be 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I'll just review that super quick. Tomorrow morning, 10-ish in Spring Hill, Kansas. That's very, very limited. And then 2 p.m. tomorrow on a private Zoom, we'll do a Keto 101. We'll do a deeper dive into that. Monday night, 6:15 and 7 p.m. in Paola, Kansas. That is a Folk Chiropractic and Wellness Center. And then 6:15 Tuesday night, Carden Center for Wellness, and then we'll kick off our 10 to 20 day on the 3rd. Also, the 60-hour keto reboot, if you're interested in that, will be kicking off Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Just send me a quick message which one you want to know about. I know it's a lot, so I'll probably wait till people answer questions and I'll throw them in here. So thanks again for joining me, guys. You inspire me every day. I actually share information based on the questions that I get, and I've been getting hundreds of questions about this keto thing. What is it? What is it not? And I just wanted to really approach it with a positive way. I didn't want to degrade or shame or point fingers, but know that there are, again, a good thing, right? Because when something gets popular, it gets a lot of traction. A lot of great things are happening. So you will hear some negative things about every single diet. Vitamin D, 20 years ago, people did not want to hear about vitamin D or fish oils. And now you wouldn't think of being on a statin or a heart disease without, cardiologists develop their own omega oils, which are exogenous fish oils, right? So people are doing their own exogenous DHEA and EPA, in conjunction with that. So don't get confused with the word exogenous. It means outside the body. We supplement all the time. People have been supplementing with protein powder. They still eat their chicken and fish and eggs. People are supplementing with greens, even though they're eating leafy greens. People have to supplement iron or calcium or other things. So know that do your education. That's what I always encourage my patients to do. So do your own information, education, and then sift and sort out what feels right for you, because what's right for one person is always right for the other person. So I am going to jump on here and see if there's some any other questions? So Jenny, yes. Does it help with weight gain and all the crazy symptoms that come with perimenopause? Yes, Jenny. What I love is that ketones are neurosignalers. So our pituitary gland is right up here. It actually secretes several different things. Our thyroid stimulating hormone, our luteinizing hormone, our follicle stimulating hormone has a lot to do with that. Also our adrenocorticotropin hormone. So it's a major station for releasing hormones. So if we can feed our brain a preferred fuel source, it means those transmitters are going to signal better to our eggs to say ovulate, or for estrogen, progesterone levels to cycle much better. We know that the thyroid is the ignition for the body and the adrenal glands are the engine for the body. So if we give it a superior fuel source, sugar feeds inflammation. We know that beta hydroxybutyrate decreases inflammation. We know sugar gives you 2 servings of ATP or gasoline per se and then ketones give us 3 ATPs per molecule. We know that ketones also give 30% so from 30 to 38% more oxygen, means it's actually going to help that with that hormone control. And we also know that fruits are very estrogenic. We start talking about aromatase. I had someone in the office where their testosterone level went up a couple hundred points simply taking the fruit out of the diet and the grains. So we see that all the time, that when we start to take away sugars and things like fruit and alcohol, that aromatase calms down. Estrogen's major job is to deposit fat. So when estrogen comes back down to normal, it can help him with all those postmenopausal like symptoms. And yes, you can increase lean muscle mass absolutely with a ketogenic diet. Think about that piece of chicken that you buy at the store. It still has like a little white jelly fat. That white jelly fat's kind of this stuff. It's kind of this stuff. And think about the muscle. When you go to buy a steak or piece of chicken, you're buying that meat, not that little bit of just fat. So we know that fat occupies more space in muscle. So you can actually see an increase of lean muscle mass on a ketogenic diet because ketones actually protect lean muscle mass. So that's a great question, Jenny. Thanks for asking me that. Allison, let's go, girl. That's all I'm going to say. She's in my area. I love her hair. Her attitude is amazing. And Allison loves her cheese, but I actually to ditch the cheese. It's an inflammatory food. We don't do it right. We do it in all different colors of packages. People say, what do you mean when you say that? If you go to the cheese aisle in the store, there's going to be a red and a blue and a green and a yellow and some flashy yellow signs. Buy some of this, get this free. I think if you're going to do cheese, do a whole natural cheese, do a goat cheese, do a sheep cheese, something like that that's actually more digestible to our body. A lot of people have a systemic fungal issue, so that's where cheese and vinegars aren't really best for someone. Think about this. Dairy only comes from a girl cow, so we start talking about estrogen. When they say cheese is hormone free, it just means when they were feeding the cows. My dad was a dairy farmer and also we had beef cattle. It just means they're not adding extra things into the feed to actually elevate the level of hormones, so you get more milk production out of the cow, or the cow gets fatter quicker so you can butcher it quicker and you get more meat out of the cow. That's what's talking about hormones. But hormone, lactation, how we get milk. So think of cheese comes from milk, comes from lactation from only a girl cow through a hormone process. So if you have hormone issues, which a lot of people are having, whether it's male or female, low T, andropause, menopause, even young girls having, irregular cycles, a lot of times limiting the dairy and soy will actually go a long way. So I want to thank you guys for joining me here. If you answer your questions later, I will come back and help answer those questions for you. Thank you again for joining me. If you want to know more about the Keto Reboot, our 10-day, 20-day, 7-week program, let me know. Super happy and excited to kick these off with you. I love this time of year because everyone's so excited for their health. It's 40-some degrees here in Kansas, not 10 or 12 anymore. So I'm smiling big. Somebody said, I saw you on Facebook. I'm like, yes, it's warm. So I'm going to apologize for being a bit absent because when it's cold, my body doesn't function very well. And we've been really busy at the office, which is a great blessing to have. So I do want to manage my time with you all here, and also want to make sure you know where to find me and where you can find our amazing programs that we do want to welcome everybody into. So thank you so much for the hearts again. Let me know where you're coming from. I see lots of people watching, but I have no idea where you guys are from. So I know where Allison's from. I don't know where Erica's from. Erica must be a friend with Allison because she's saying how amazing she is. And Nicole, thanks for joining me. Hope you guys all had an amazing new year. You are ready to set those goals. Remember, when you set those goals, you share them with a friend, 78% more likely to achieve them. Easy to do. Jump off here, go share your goals with a friend. One goal is good enough. It'll get you really far in your health, because if you set one goal, which is cut out sugar, it creates an amazing domino effect. If you create one thing and say, I'm just going to get to bed on time, I'm going to get 7 hours of sleep. You get 7 hours of sleep, you're going to crave less food, your cortisol is going to be more balanced, you're going to wake up happier, the people around you are going to be happier, and you're going to be way more in control of your brain, and you're going to think much clearer. So just set even one goal can do amazing, amazing things. So thank you guys again for joining me. Deb, hello from Wisconsin, someone from Sarasota, Florida. Please feel free to swipe and share this. Jump over to my blog, and you guys have an amazing day. And I'll be seeing some of you on my Zoom tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You got to email me for the link. The reason I do that privately is because I don't want to have everyone's email out here all over Facebook with the things that get hacked. So send that to me, and I will personally send you an invite to that Zoom at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And no, it will not be recorded. I do that again for just people's privacy. So you guys have a great day, and I'll be seeing you later.